A bit of a disclaimer before we get started with this video. If you hear my air conditioner throughout the entirety of this video, I'm sorry, but unfortunately there's a big heat wave and it is 95 degrees outside, and this air conditioner barely keeps my room under 80 degrees. So unfortunately, it's just something that we're gonna have to deal with for today. Anyway, back to the video. It's no secret that many players have been improving at Osu quite a bit this year. Personally, I set my first 700 PP play not too long ago, which then led to me deciding to learn hard rock, which has led to my heart being broken multiple times in the past 2 months. Today I'm going to be talking about the Wooting keyboard in depth. In section 1, I'm going to talk about what exactly made me decide to purchase the Wooting keyboard for myself, and things you should consider if you are looking to pick one up as well. Section 2 will cover why the Wooting is such a big deal, followed by the third section, in which I will talk a little bit about the issues I found throughout my time using the keyboard. I will also be talking about what I really like about the keyboard in section 4. And in the final section, I will be taking a look at what exactly I have been able to accomplish since receiving my favorite keyboard I have ever owned. Whether you currently own a Wooting product, are waiting for yours to arrive, or are on the fence about purchasing one, I will do my best to ensure this video has something valuable for all of you. So let's talk a bit about why I bought the Wooting keyboard. I ordered the Wooting 60HE the day I saw a streamer and content creator BeastTrollMC talk about the keyboard in a YouTube video. Halfway through the video, I no longer needed convincing. I paused the video, went to the Wooting website, and purchased the keyboard. It's just that simple. But before I continue, allow me to give some backstory as to why I was so quick to purchase the keyboard. It all started when my PC's motherboard decided to stop working. I guess I must have spilt something on it because it looked like I had spilled something on it, but I don't recall doing so. Either way, we had to get a new one. So while waiting for a replacement to arrive, I had been gaming a bit on my old Windows 7 laptop that I started playing Osu on many years ago. A bit of a nostalgia trip. But I noticed something almost instantly. I had been curious and didn't use my keyboard with the laptop, thinking that the small keys and low travel distance might be fun to play with. I was right. It was much easier to play higher BPM maps due to the low travel distance of the keyboard and virtually non-existent reset time between clicks. This was around a year before I knew about the Wooting. I would say around September of 2021, and I was curious if I could find a keyboard that had such a small travel distance. I even bought one with similar keys to my laptop. However, this didn't really give me the same effect and was overall much lower quality, so I never ended up truly using it. It's safe to say what the Wooting offers is something that I had been dreaming about for quite some time. A keyboard that would completely eliminate my issue with tapping. I'm not sure if the issue is that I have weak tendons, if my hands just need more time to recover, considering I've never given them more than pretty much 2 days of rest in between sessions, or if I'm just simply built different. But I always seem to injure my hands playing Osu, even when playing with red switch keyboards, which is typically what I would use. Either way, I hadn't had a hand injury for a long time, but still wanted to eliminate the possibility of further injuries, since it was fairly recently at the time that I changed from index middle to index ring, which I primarily use to this day. And I didn't want to injure my ring finger like I had my middle finger previously. So needless to say, the second I heard what the Wooting was capable of, I was sold. There was nothing talking me out of placing my order for this incredible masterpiece of a keyboard, one that I had genuinely never thought that I would see hit the market. A fully analog capable keyboard that can actuate a key without needing to fully reset the key. It was almost too good to be true. I had to get my hands on this keyboard, and that I did. I have to consider myself lucky for having placed my order the day before the huge influx of purchases, because I didn't have to wait an extra 3 to 4 months to get my hands on my Wooting keyboard, and it ended up arriving around the beginning of January. In order to prepare myself for what I was getting myself into, I decided to play Osu much less until the keyboard arrived. I wanted to fully relearn how to tap when I got the keyboard. I think this might have helped me quite a bit, and my hands were fully recovered and ready to grind the day the keyboard landed at my doorstep. The Wooting has definitely made it easier to play Osu, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have improved using the keyboard. We will dive into exactly that later on in this video, but let's talk a bit more seriously about the Wooting keyboard for a bit. So if you're thinking about buying a Wooting keyboard, or maybe you don't really know and you're not 100% sold, but you kinda do want it, the first thing I would consider when buying a Wooting product would be which Wooting product is right for you. Hold up just a moment, and don't get it mistaken. I'm not sponsored by Wooting in any way. I'm incredibly passionate about my love for the Wooting keyboard and what it has to offer. So whether or not they sponsor me doesn't really make a difference, but I wouldn't mind it at all. Please, Wooting, this is my way of begging. Like I was saying, the first thing you need to consider is which Wooting product is right for you. Honestly, I would recommend getting the 60% version or the 60HE. Even though they have a keypad specifically for Osu, there are many uses I have found for my Wooting that do not directly relate to Osu. As a matter of fact, recently I got a bit addicted to Trackmania 2020, and using the analog settings for the keyboard provides a pretty fun experience. Especially because my Bluetooth card is quite underwhelming and would lag my game whenever I held my controller underneath my desk, which isn't fun at all. So keep in mind that Wooting products aren't specifically made just for Osu, and there are many different things you can use them for, such as their analog capabilities. Although I wouldn't use the analog setting as a replacement for a controller in most other games that I would use a controller for, as I don't think using it would be comparable to using an actual controller. The keypad is nice though, for players who don't want to spend their entire paycheck on a single keyboard, so keep that in mind. Alright, that's enough rambling, but I think you get the idea. If you want a full keyboard, go for the full Wooting 2HE. If you don't mind having to rebind keys, or using the function key in order to have that extra functionality that you lose with the 60% version, then get the 60HE. And if you aren't really interested in using the keyboard for anything other than Osu, get the Uwu keypad. Now let's talk a bit about what makes the Wooting so special. The Wooting keyboard utilizes analog key switches that give the user the option to choose their actuation point, which can be anywhere from 0.1mm to 4mm. In a game like Osu, where it is crucial for key presses to be as accurate and sometimes as fast as possible, the Wooting is pretty much the equivalent of a cheat code. It's just that good. And when I tell you I cannot go back to using a normal mechanical keyboard, I truly mean it. The Wooting has transformed the way I play Osu. My tapping technique has changed in a way that puts much less strain on my hand, and honestly, the Wooting is simply superior to a mechanical keyboard for me. I think that's enough said. Now hold on just a moment. Before I continue on to section 3, I just want to show you guys some clips of what it looks like when you learn how to tap with the Wooting, and it's a bit insane. The way that the Wooting keyboard works is once you adapt your technique to the Wooting keyboard, and believe it or not, a lot of top players still haven't even done this, but once you adjust your tapping technique, you can achieve speeds that are absolutely absurd. And I mean, you can see it just by watching Lifeline, Emmerich, and pretty much any other top player who has it within the top 50. I mean, it's insane. The keyboard is incredible. And honestly, I don't even have much, like, there's never a time when I over tap or accidentally hit a key. Like, you would be surprised how precise you still will be, even though you're kind of spamming. It's really not that bad, honestly. I don't really ever over tap anything, and if anything, my biggest problem is just forgetting to hold down the key when it's a slider and I just slider break or something silly like that. But yeah, take a look here. I'll probably play a bunch of clips or something while I'm talking, and you get the idea, right? I mean, the keyboard is incredible, and I've been able to push speed like it's nobody's business. So if you're anybody around rank, I don't know, 10,000 and below, and you get this keyboard, adapt your technique, and I promise you, you're gonna do big things. Trust me. So now I'm going to speak a little bit about the issues that I've found throughout my around 10 months of using the keyboard. Firstly, the keyboard is incredibly high quality, and I can't say that I have had another keyboard that comes close other than my Ducky Year of the Dog in terms of build quality. The board is heavy and does not slide around on my desk, which is amazing. I will say that I do wish there was an adjustable kickstand in the back of the keyboard just to make it a little bit higher in the back, but I have no issues with the sitting position of the keyboard as it currently is. And if I really needed to, I could find something to stick underneath the backside of the keyboard to give it a little bit of a boost, but I like where it sits. and the ergonomics of the keyboard don't seem to give my hands any trouble when typing out these scripts. So it's probably fine right where it's at. Another issue you might run into with the 60HE and its full-size variant is the fact that when you have rapid trigger enabled and maxed out, it's hard not to input a key just by resting your hand above the keys on the keyboard. They're incredibly sensitive. So sensitive, in fact, that when picking up the keyboard off of the desk in order to reposition it, placing it down on the desk any harder than what I would consider as gentle as a feather will result in the equivalent of smacking both sides of the keyboard with both of your hands. And luckily nothing too crazy has resulted from my many adjustments. But each time I do move it, I wince a bit when I hear my Windows make 400 consecutive noises. It's a bit loud and frightening, and you never know what you're gonna get. So what's my overall review of the Wooting 60HE? Well, if there's one thing that I know for a fact, it's that if I didn't have the Wooting, like I just said, I would not be able to play or improve my speed at all. I tried many times over the years to improve my speed. When I get warmed up, I can tap pretty quickly, but there is no other keyboard that I have used that has not injured my hands over time attempting to keep that speed going. And what I mean by that is a bit more complicated. So let's talk about exactly why that is. So, because I've had so much trouble trying to find a keyboard over the years that didn't end up injuring my hands, I have had many keyboards. From my first mechanical keyboard, the Razer Black Widow 2012 edition with Cherry MX Blues, to the Cooler Master Quickfire TK Cherry MX Reds, and even multiple Ducky keyboards, such as the Year of the Dog, which had Cherry MX Reds, the Ducky 1-2, which I tried out Cherry MX Browns, and finally the HyperX Ally Origins, with, you guessed it, Cherry MX Reds. I will say that the keyboards I had the most success with were always the ones with Cherry MX Red switches. Because of the fact that the Cherry MX Reds are such a linear and light key, those ones ended up not injuring me for the longest amount of time. I can say confidently that the Wooting keyboard has not only eliminated the injuries that I would eventually have to recover from, but it has molded my tapping technique in a way that I can actually finally play and even improve my speed. Not only that, but even build stamina on BPMs above 200, which I was never able to do prior to owning the Wooting. Now, I've been 4-digit for a significantly long time, since 2018, and that whole time, I've been below rank 3000. I got stuck around rank 2600 for the longest time, and to be honest, it's been such a long time I couldn't tell you what rank I was during any specific time frame. All I know is what rank I am right now. And around the time I got the Wooting keyboard, my addiction to Osu definitely didn't improve, because the only thing I wanted to do was play more with this keyboard. I have never had more fun playing the game than I have with the Wooting. It has been incredibly fun playing maps that I never ever in a million years thought I would be able to play due to the fear of injuring myself. Now I can play maps above 220 BPM for entire sessions without having to worry about injuring my hand at all. Given that I take the necessary precautions, of course, such as ample rest time between maps, making sure that I don't tense up my hand in an unhealthy fashion, and overall making sure that my hand is ready to take on the task of whatever beat map I choose to play. So if somebody asked me overall, should I get the Wooting, I would tell them absolutely. But there are many factors that need to be considered before doing so. So take those into account as you're going through this video. So looking at my top plays that I've set in the past year, it's pretty crazy how many of them I've set since I received my Wooting. And most of them are above 200 BPM, however there are a few that I have set on lower BPMs from 500 to 700. The biggest of which being my Honesty FC. I think it's safe to say that I've improved on BPMs above 200 a fair bit since I received the Wooting, and as a matter of fact, I've even FC'd maps like Blue Zenith, which take an insane amount of 200 BPM stamina, which I had never had before receiving my Wooting. Now I will say that since getting the Wooting, my lower BPM stamina has decreased, but I've just been playing it a lot less. And the only thing that I would need to do if I really wanted to get back into low BPM is just play it for a day or two. So it's not like I've lost skill there. It's just simply I'm out of tune. I was going to try out for OWC, considering recently I have improved a bunch, in my opinion, but I figured it'd be best to let my hands rest and go at it again next year a bit more prepared and ready to take on the challenge. Hopefully by that time, I will have improved a lot more. And if I haven't, then there's probably a 0% chance of me even making the team, but at least getting that experience in a tournament setting will be very valuable. And let's be honest, making it onto the USA OWC team would be quite literally a miracle, because the team is incredibly good, so good in fact, there is a USA OWC team of players that didn't make the team but could still hypothetically fill in a team if they needed to. At least there used to be. I'm not quite sure about now that Taquito and people like Decatin and them have joined the team. I'm not sure what the standing is on that, but you know, it's gonna be difficult to make it onto the most dominant team in OWC history. I'm excited to make more videos that you guys enjoy listening to, speaking about my personal experiences and what I've went through while learning this game, and spreading my knowledge to the newer players is something that I genuinely enjoy doing. And if you enjoy watching it, I appreciate the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, and all of that. So thank you guys so much, and I'm hoping to hit 1,000 subscribers before my birthday. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, the bell icon, and you will stay updated when I upload new content. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. But until then, have a good time, enjoy yourself, and don't forget to stay healthy.